Hi there, this is Brent Uris, personal coach, productivity coach. I guide people into sustainable high-level productivity. And what I wanted to do is wish you a happy new year, happy 2021. We finally made it. We made it through the year. It's a whole new year now. And I put together this guide here for properly taking on 2021. So I wanted to just offer a few notes for you as I'm filming this. This is just in early January. And I wanted as many of us as possible to start this year off on the right foot, for us to really come at this with our best intentions and our best effort and our best vision, our best strategy, and to do this in a way that's like, it's not necessarily like a lot of effort and a lot of force, although it can be, and I'm going to get to that. But in such a way that we're really just like on track and on pace and feeling good about what we're doing, and we just have the most optimism that we really can bring about, and to learn how to increase that optimism over time. So to that end, I have 4 things that I want to discuss with you. So I'll tell you the points and I'll get into them bit by bit. So the first one is to bring everything back on the table in terms of options, in terms of possibility. The second one is to start creating for you as opposed to someone else. Third one is to embrace work, effort, and discomfort. And number 4 is to insist on change. These are all concepts that I'm currently grappling with in my own life as well. In particular, number 4, it's really the big one. It's my a new development for me, and in my personal life, it's representing kind of like a big turning point in a big shift that I'm taking on in this upcoming year that I want to share with you as well. So here we go. So all of this, I want you to listen to these ideas, and just as you listen to them, think about how you can incorporate them into your life and how you might use this to properly set up the frame for this upcoming year. So first, bring everything back on the table. And so what I mean by this is, I want you, we all want to be realistic, and we don't want to say things that we don't mean and commit to things that we don't intend to really follow through on. But at the same time, when we're visioning for our future, when we're visioning just for this upcoming year, we don't want to sell ourselves short either. And so the way to balance these two things between optimism and dreaming big and this sort of really shooting for the stars, this kind of thing, balancing that with being clear and balanced and realistic. The best way to balance these two poles is to start with being unrealistic and then go into being realistic, because you need to have both. What I found is that it's really, really good to have enormous, big ambitions. It's very good. There's nothing wrong with it. But if we have these ambitions and if we don't believe in them, if we just really honestly, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to make this happen. We can say it, but honestly, deep down, we don't actually truly expect these things to happen. If we're being honest, then we won't manifest them. We won't actually make them happen. And so we need to actually have a connection between what we say and what we actually think will happen and what we'll do, because it's only through that connection that we can actually make the thing happen. So it's a very key piece. So nevertheless though, to start with, as the very first order of business, let's get unrealistic. Let's stop being realistic and let's bring everything back on the table. Let's talk about possibilities. What's possible? What could happen? If you had, say, all the discipline and focus that you needed, all the willpower, all the clarity, good strategy, good support, if all the conditions were there, how far could you go? What could happen for you this year? Take a second to think about it. So dream again. And in particular, go to the best case scenario. And picture that. You ideally want to hit the very, very upper boundary where if you go any further, it's like, ugh, I can't even think about it. It's asking too much of me to even consider it as a possibility. That's fine. So just hit that boundary. And what I want you to do is I want you to live there for a little second. I want you to just kind of stay there and chill and set up camp and just sort of get into the vision of it. Kind of move into your imagination and really kind of spend some time in that image, in that imagination, and kind of feel around and kind of get a little familiar with it and get comfortable with it. Because the thing is that we don't really know what's possible or what's not possible. We don't, right? All we really have are our beliefs. Because unbelievable stuff happens all the time, all over the place. But as a basic rule, it won't happen to us if we don't allow it. And it's only through relaxing our beliefs and our belief systems that we can allow possibility in. We need to actually become a little bit ridiculous every once in a while. We need to actually entertain things that seem strange or weird or unrealistic or like they're asking too much. We need to challenge, say, our deserving issues and our beliefs in order to have a sense, in order to stop artificially limiting ourselves, stop carrying psychology that artificially limits us. So therefore, it's through adopting a basic willingness to relax our belief system about what's possible and impossible, and our willingness to entertain basically delusionally high goals and accomplishments, lofty ambitions, just entertaining it and kind of stretching our imagination a little bit, then we can start allowing our unconscious mind to create little bridges from here to there, and we can start actually turning this unrealistic thing into something that's realistic. So yeah, so bring all the possibilities back onto the table. Relax your what you call your realism or your cynicism, just your skepticism. Just relax all of that and just spend some time inhabiting your imagination and see what happens. Just see what happens. See how unconsciously you start navigating your way towards that vision. It's a very, very powerful practice. And there's something about January and the beginning of the year where it's just such a good time for that. So that's number one. Number two, start creating for you. Huge in my world as well, and just in a lot of my conversations with people, it's like so many of us are creating for other people. And so that means a couple different things, and I'll tell you what I mean. So first of all, the energy of proving. So it's like, where in your life are you trying to prove yourself to other people? Who are you trying to show that you're a success, or that you know what you're talking about? Like, in what way are you conducting your life where you're trying to become like successful in some way, or get something done, or attain a certain level of wealth, or whatever it is, and just so that like other people can see it and be like, oh, like I was wrong about that person, or oh, I was right about that person. So the other one being like, were you maybe a gifted child, or somebody who's like told that they were precocious or prodigious, or that they were gonna really go far in life and then they're not for some reason, and you just feel like you can't, like you're burdened by these expectations that you just can't seem to actualize, and you really feel like you're trying to make good on people's expectations of you. So all of that, man, like, can we put all that to rest? Can we be done with that? Who are you creating for? Whose life are you living? Who are you trying to prove yourself to? Whose expectations are you trying to fulfill? And in what way are you trying, like, here's another way of looking at it. In what way are you trying to make people happy? Who are you trying to make happy by living your life properly? Is it your parents, perhaps? Or maybe something that like an old teacher said at some point, or your friend group, or whatever it is? Or who are you trying to make comfortable? Who are you trying to make comfortable by not succeeding? So maybe, are you holding yourself back in some way? Is there a part of you that actually knows that you could be really successful, that you could actually go far, that you could create a lot, but it would make people uncomfortable, it would make them jealous, envious, it would make them feel bad about themselves, so you hold yourself back a little bit. You don't want to rock the boat too much or bring up old feelings. What about that? Is that serving you? And is that really how you see the purpose of your life, to make people comfortable? And if not, hopefully not, would you be willing to put that down as a priority? Would you be willing instead to manifest success for yourself, to be successful, to really achieve and accomplish go and really kind of go far, and let everybody have their own reactions. Let people think whatever they're going to think. Let people have their own experience of you. And think about, for example, people that you know that are successful, that you admire or that you look up to. And just imagine if they didn't step into their success for fear of making people uncomfortable. It's kind of interesting. So a musician that I like to reference in these videos and that I like to talk about a lot, Jacob Collier, just as an example of genius and mastery and precociousness, and just really kind of a really cool musician in person to observe as he kind of grows up and matures in his art form. It's very uncomfortable for me because I'm a musician and I grew up receiving a lot of this message that I'll be like that I'm a really amazing musician and I'm better than other people and so forth. And I was told that I was talented and gifted, which I was and I am, right? But then I'll look at Jacob Collier and it's like, whoa, it's just so far beyond anything I've ever witnessed or even really, truly, honestly thought was possible. Many, many times more than that. And it makes me really uncomfortable to observe, and it's brought up a lot in me that I've been going through and dissolving, and it's forced me to step into a lot of maturity just in order to keep my sanity, just knowing that this man exists, right? In everything that he's done, and I think that if he were to have held himself back in order to like make me or people like me feel comfortable, it just would have been such a loss, right? And the same applies to you, right? It's funny, I imagine maybe somebody's listening to this video that really needs to hear this message, because I didn't really intend to say this, but like, what a loss it would be if you held yourself back in order to make everybody comfortable and you didn't step into your genius, into your mastery, your own personal gift, your own personal vibration that's only for you to express, that nobody else can express. It's like, no, man, that won't work anymore. So who are you creating for? Sorry, 1 second. My cat does not like closed doors, not even closet doors. So I have to open them up. Yeah. So who are you creating for? Who are you trying to impress? Who are you comparing yourself to? You're not on other people's journeys. Let people have their own journeys. If you see people creating success for themselves and it's similar to the success that you want to create for yourself, let go of this idea that you're behind or that you're supposed to be ahead of them or that you're supposed to be on par with them. And instead, just let them be examples of what's possible. And realize that nobody's getting to your finish line. Nobody's getting to your prize. Nobody's going to take away your mastery and your full blossoming as a person. That's for you alone. So let these people be lighthouses for you, and stop making yourself superior or inferior to them. Like if you go out to a field of dandelions and you see all these dandelions, in mid-blossom, like, because they're not like all like perfectly synchronous, right? And some are blossoming over here, some turn into like the white little things, you know what I'm talking about, right? And so, which dandelion is the best, and which one, right? Like who's ahead or who's behind? Like it's not, it doesn't compute. It's not a real thing that exists in nature. So let's put it behind us and let's take all this energy that you're putting on other people and just bring it back in, so that the only thing that matters is how well you're expressing yourself and how well you're following your intuition. Because your intuition will serve you as you unfold in your actualization journey. That's number 2. Number 3. Embrace work, effort, and discomfort. So this is a tricky one. And this is a message that I gave in one of my earlier videos. I think it's just the one directly before this. It's a short one, and it's basically this idea of let go of this idea of looking for something that's easy. Let go of looking for the easy way to do things. Let go of any hope that you have of circumventing or getting around doing hard work or not even necessarily hard work, but the part where you have to manually do the thing, the part where you're trying to just have the thing be done for you. So if you're like deep in like the law of attraction, that kind of schooling, The Secret, like there's actually a lot of truth in that teaching. I really believe so. There's a lot that's important about it. But when we use that to bypass the effort piece where we directly engage with our journey and we directly do what we need to do, that won't work. You yourself must apply yourself to what you're doing. And so therefore it will feel uncomfortable and it will feel like effort at times. And I suggest you adopt a true blue willingness to experience these things and to let it be okay that you're experiencing them. Boredom as well. If you find that you're bored doing whatever it is that you're doing, arrive at this place where you're not trying to avoid boredom or avoid tedium, say. But it's just like, okay, like I'm willing to experience this. This is just an experience along the journey of doing my most important work. And then if you move into that place of acceptance of like, okay, I'm willing to feel discomfort, I'm willing to experience tedium and boredom, then the experience of it won't actually be so off-putting anymore. It'll shift into something else and you'll be able to reclaim flow with anything, with any activity. So it's number 3. And then number 4, and finally, is to insist on change. So this is the really big one for me, because I've had this really weird thing that I've been working with for years and years and years, where especially since 2017, which was the year that I decided to really step into entrepreneurialism, to start like getting in control of my life. It was the year that I was coming out of like this depression that I sometimes reference, where I was like really depressed, and it was just like a year of like, man, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna really like go for it. I'm really gonna get my life together and do all this stuff. And it's been successful, like, on a year by year basis. But there was also this sort of pain that kind of built up in me as I was doing it, and I would feel it as a contraction, like in my shoulder and in my neck, and it would just feel like pain, and whenever I'd kind of feel into it, it would just sort of feel like a lot of, it would flare up whenever I was trying to move my life forward. So if I'm ever making a post or making a video like this one, and it would kind of, in my mind, it would create a lot of cloudiness and confusion. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to say. And there's just a lot of interference. And what I would do is I try to just live with it. Like I would try to heal it and get rid of it. And I couldn't. And then I just started giving up on it. I just started kind of trying to live my life around it, which I found it increasingly difficult to do. And then just recently, as recently as a couple weeks ago, I arrived at this point where I said to myself, like, I need to figure out how to heal this thing. I insist on changing this. I insist on getting to the bottom of this. I insist that it's possible. I insist that healing is a real thing, that there really is an other side to this. And as it turns out, that was what was required. Like this firmness, like again, sort of almost borderline delusional in the sense that I don't really have any data to back it up that it is possible, but just, it's like, man, heckin' boy, like it must be possible. And so then I did, and then I was very fortuitously a healer that I really love. Her name is Roxanne Kuciak. I signed up for one of her programs, and where I can work on this problem, and already starting to finally shift, and a lot of insights have opened up, and I'm able, like the way is much more clear for me in my life than it ever was before. And this was only possible because I insisted on change. I insisted on what was possible. So in your life, what's something that you've been struggling with for the longest hecking time? I feel like I really want to swear, but I also don't, so I'm going to use the word hecking. So what have you been struggling with for the longest time? It's not going away. It just doesn't go away. And it's like, and you go back and forth between, okay, is this possible? Is it not possible? Between belief and disbelief. Would you be willing to insist? And what I also want to clarify here is that as you insist and kind of have this mounting insistence that change is possible, that it's not a matter of more effort. It's kind of interesting. It's not to be misconstrued as me saying that you should work harder or try harder. It's something that we're doing sort of on the level of conviction, where you go deeper than you ever have with your conviction. You dig deeper than ever before. And you'll still encounter resistance, because you'll get this kind of message back that's like, no, it's too much, I can't, whatever it is, right? And it's just what you're doing is you're bypassing this belief that you can't, and moving into this insistence that you can. And then from there, just as I was saying in point 1, you will find unconsciously a path will make itself apparent that was not making itself apparent before. So the way will start to become clear for you, but only through that insistence. So number 4 is insist on change, not necessarily try harder. And so that's all the stuff. So yeah, so that's the guidance for taking on 2021. So I say, like, these are all like insights that are like really hard won for me, and it took me a long time to even figure out how to articulate these so that I can actually say them to you. And so respectfully, I suggest that you take this video seriously and take these messages seriously, and maybe spend some time writing down what comes up for you and really setting some intentions for 2021. And so again, bring everything back onto the table, right? Like, what's the best case scenario? How could this go? Number 2 is create for you. Make sure that you're not creating for anybody else, from anybody else's paradigm, from somebody else's belief system, from our culture's belief system. It's like, what would you do if you were free? What would you do if you could do it for yourself? If you could live your own life the way you want to live your life, what would you do? Right? Number 3, embrace work, effort, discomfort, make friends with these things, stop trying to circumvent them. It's a childish, immature maneuver, right? And we're beyond that, right? We're willing to step up where we have to. And then number 4 is insist that this is possible. Really do that. I'm considering if I want to give you something to do. Yeah, just do that. Like, write down what comes out to you. Have a journaling session. And refer back to this video, refer back to the notes that you come up with. And if you do, then you have every reason to really have optimism for this year. Because a lot of us are so butthurt from the year 2020, right? I've heard so many stories of people coming into 2020 and we're like, oh my God, this is gonna be the best year ever. And then pandemic, all the 2020 shit happened and we couldn't. And now all of us are like a little scared coming into 2020. All of us are scared coming into 2021. It's like, no, man, we've been through all of it. It's in the past. It is in the past. And the way is starting to become clear. And now all of us are stronger and have more resolve, and we're more clear, and we're just more mature as a result of all of this. So it's like, yeah, man, let's really take this year seriously, and let's allow some optimism. So, okay, all right. So I've said my piece. Thank you. I'm offering coaching. Okay, so I have some spots open. As it stands, I have 3 spots opening for my one-on-one coaching. If you're interested, there's a link below to get into my calendar to book yourself in. I definitely suggest, if this resonates with you, that you get a session with me. The first one's free. And I have a new book I'll be coming out with pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. And go to my website, brentheuris.com, and sign up for my email newsletter, because you'll be automatically admitted into my free course for sustainable high-level productivity, where I give some amazing training there. That is all. Happy New Year.